There we go. Hey, what is up, YouTube? This is me, MemoRandom, coming at you with another gameplay video. I'm gonna actually kind of start my streams a little like this, and then I'll go ahead and go into the game and it'll set up the way we have it set up. I just wanted to do a little bit of an intro before we get started with the video, and then, you know, allow people to kind of jump in into the stream. Now, if you were here since the beginning, I will be streaming Nights into the Dreams, created by the Sonic team by Naoto Oshima, which was the lead artist in the Sonic team back when Sonic was released, and we'll be talking a little bit about that, the history of Nights, the history of Sonic team, and the history of, you know, what went right, what went wrong, and what exactly happened to the Sonic team, and where are they right now in terms of games. Sorry, just adjusting myself here. So please enjoy yourselves. Sit back, relax while I play Nights into the Dreams. I wanted to go ahead and showcase nice and full screened what I will be drinking today. Today will be Austin East Cider's Blood Orange. I've actually had this in other streams. Just gonna finish it off today. We've been drinking a lot of domestic beers. If you are of drinking age, go ahead and crack open yourself a nice beverage. If you are not, you know, go ahead and have some juice, you know. Enjoy that. That seems to be what we're telling the kids these days, right? So at any time, make sure that you comment during the stream. Kind of go ahead and do a little bit of talking with us. And I will try to keep up with it on the side. And also at the bottom, you can see the different, oh man, my brain just like reset on me. The different social media outlets that our group does. We have our Twitter, our Facebook, and Instagram. Now, when I jump into the other page, you'll see the rest of our other social media outlets. So let's go ahead and switch over here to the gameplay. Here we go. All right. Whoa. In my ears, that is very loud. So let's just lower that down a bit. All right. And if it's too loud, just go ahead and just tell me. So just showing a little bit of an intro here so that you guys can go ahead and check out everything. Oh my lord. I'm gonna be honest. So this was originally created for the Sega Saturn in 1996. Obviously here you're seeing what the game is truly based on. The idea of dreams, and this is the nightmare, and then it looked like it was a beautiful dream, and then obviously now her fears are coming in. Creepy as heck. So as much as I want to see that, I do want to kind of talk a little bit about the game itself, the way it's kind of put together. You know, just gonna fix some stuff. There we go. All right. So here we go. So Nights into the Dreams was created in 1996 by the Sega team. The director, like I had already said, Naoto Oshima. Sorry, you're gonna see me kind of looking at my notes for a little bit. He was the lead artist, and actually he's the lead artist that was the one that designed Sonic and Dr. Eggman. Those were his designs. He was actually lead designer for the original Sonic the Hedgehog. Now the director for that one was originally Yuji Naka. Now Yuji Naka, so right there you can see a little bit of the game. Yuji Naka was originally the director of Sonic, and then we'll move down to producer for Nights into the Dreams. Now, and I'll be talking about the hierarchy of the Sonic team and what kind of happened. Yuji Naka will pretty much be the producer for most games. Naoto Oshima will actually move down to producer for Phantasy Star Online, which was the game that Gabe was streaming the other day. And after that, you'll see the game designer Takao Miyoshi, which was the game designer for Knights, becoming the director of Phantasy Star Online. So it's just like weird little things like that. Now, so as I'm playing this, and I think I'm gonna do the enhanced remastered version. So I'm just gonna go ahead and go into it, start playing it. Let's see if we can get some people. Let's start off at the beginning with Elliot. Alright, so I played this game back on the Sega Saturn like in 96, so in 1996, so it's been a while. Now, this is a flight game, as you can see. Ooh, missed there. So the point of the game is to collect these blue little orbs. And that's what allows you to complete and get the little orbs that they took from you at the beginning. See, I keep missing some of them, but boom, I got that. Now, this game does have like an enhanced speed function, but it's super hard to control. So I usually don't like doing it, but you usually want to do that, especially once you get your orb. Now, as you can see, there's a timer that's kind of built into this game. Now, the point of the timer is to... There we go. Like most Sega games, I mean, if you really think about it, like Sonic even had the timer. And that will actually kind of lead to the downfall of Sega, because they still kind of ran very similar to arcades. But by the time the Sega Saturn came out, arcades were already starting to kind of not do well. You know, they were a team of designers for arcades, but no one was going to the arcades anymore. So that was one of the sad things about it, was they were designers of arcades that weren't doing that anymore. So almost had it there. So this is one of the first actual 3D games, but if you notice, it's still technically a side scroller. And what I mean by that, wasn't able to see those ones. You're supposed to make little loop-de-loops, but yeah, I'm not really good at it. Never mind. Yeah. Now the cool thing is that right here, oh, I missed all of them, is if you're noticing, oh my gosh. So this is what I was talking about, like, it's 3D, but it's not really 3D, at least not in the traditional sense that we know it today. Alright, we gotta blast through this. There we go. And that was all of them. And that's all she wrote. One C. So the boss battles, or at least this first one, I'm just trying to get her to the end. Just gotta get your timing right. Oh, us. It just sucks because you can't really get the timing right because it's kind of hard to see. So you can't really control the camera. That's the thing that's kind of frustrating with this. But I've gotten better. When I was a kid, I could never beat this stage just because it was so freaking hard. There we go. So, now when this was originally released, it was around the time that the Nintendo 64 was released, and the hope was that it would actually go against Super Mario 64, which is why they actually rushed to release this. Hey, sorry about that, guys. My internet restarted on me. That really sucked, but I'll go ahead and continue off of what I was talking about. Which was talking about what exactly happened with the Sega Saturn. So originally it was supposed to be a 2D platformer when it was announced, or when it was being developed. So when they heard that the PlayStation and the Nintendo 64 were pretty much all going full 3D graphics, they went back to the drawing board. Now, this is where the misconception starts. Yes, they were going to go with a 2D platformer. However, the 2D platformer was supposed to have 3D rendered backgrounds. That was the idea, that they would utilize the two together. But as you see with this Super Mario 64, that's not what happened with them. They went full 3D. So Sega threw in an extra CPU, technically being the first multi-CPU system, and said, all right, game developers, figure out how to utilize it. Trying to future-proof themselves, and really only in Japan did they ever truly utilize the extra CPU. And I even heard a couple people say that they wanted to like hack their system so that they could turn on that CPU and see if they could do some stuff, but I don't know how far that actually went. So yeah, that was the original idea for the Sega Saturn and what they wanted to do with it. And you know, and that's all she wrote when dealing with that. The Sega Saturn limped its way, hoping that it could beat the PlayStation by coming out too early. So the first stream of games that were released, like Virtua Fighter and Daytona USA, didn't actually finish. And if you look at the original games and not the updated versions like Virtua Fighter 2 and I always forget Daytona USA's Sega Rally, I think. I'm not 100% what the Daytona USA updated version is, which are cleaned up versions. So you play like the original Virtua Fighter, and it's like, wow, this looks horrible. This looks really bad. And so Virtua Fighter 2 would look better slightly, but never really kind of took off. And that's why it's considered very forgotten when it comes to 3D fighters. Even though like it kind of took off from there. But there would be also other fighters that would make it look even better, like Virtua On being one of my favorites when talking about the Sega Saturn, not so much fighters in general in all systems. So yeah, and so this game really is what the Sega Saturn wanted to accomplish. They basically told the Sega team or Sonic team, hey, we want you to develop a game. Don't worry about Sonic. We'll handle Sonic. You now create the newest, hippest game for the Sega Saturn. So the Sonic team, with the help of Naoto Oshima, pretty much developed NiGHTS. And it also, I believe the way the story goes is that Naoto was sleeping in a plane and dreaming and flying, and that like inspired him, like, well, why don't we create a dreamlike game? And that's really the inception of NiGHTS Into the Dream, or Into Dreams, not Into the Dreams, which I always thought when I was a kid. So that was pretty cool. But yeah, let's go ahead and let's continue. We're actually playing one level ahead that I ever was able to do as a kid. So let's see. By the way, guys, at any point, go ahead and chat down at the bottom any questions or anything that you want to talk about, even if it's just reminiscing of the Saturn or the Sega Genesis or Sega in general, or even just to bash Sega and be like, oh, I hated Sega, PlayStation all the way, whatever. I don't care. All right, here we go. And I got all turn around on that one. got a little nervous there. Go. By the way, guys, this is the first time I've played this level, so these are like that was crazy and kind of cool. Here we go. Alright. Hey, I got a B finally. Alright, so this boss, I have no idea what to expect. So if you know how to beat this guy, what the heck? What the heck? I have no idea what to do. What the heck? I am like so disoriented here. Oh my god, that was bad. That was horrible. What do you guys think? How do I get through that? Let's see, destroy exploding mice with drill dash. So am I supposed to wait till he shoots at me and then hit it while it's flying at me? Now, luckily, this isn't like Ikari Warriors like the classic one was playing the other day. So, like, I lucked out there. Alright, let's see if I can get better scores this time. So as you can see, in terms of speed, this is very much similar to like Sonic in that respect. And it's like how to control speed is like a huge. Did I miss the... Yeah, it looks like I missed it. There we go. Last time. There we go. Awesome. Hey, welcome to the stream, guys. Thanks for stopping by, playing Nights into the Dreams. Alright, so this time I'm going to pay attention to what's going on. Okay, didn't do it right. do it right. There we go. Okay, there we go. I beat the first stage from my post-childhood life. Awesome. Hey, unlocked a made-up achievement. So that song, I believe it's called Dream Dreams. I think it is. In the night, dream delight. Yeah. I mean, I'm just gonna be honest. I loved it. It's such a catchy, like, 90s kind of song. So I just love it. I dig it. So I don't know if I explained this. So obviously you have the two dreamers. You have Elliot over here on this side and Claris. Now, like I said, I was gonna play a little bit, talk a little bit, and kind of do the two. So when Nights into the Dreams was first released, it was it did well. Most people that purchased the Sega Saturn really bought it because of that game, because it came, I believe, came bundled with it. That with Daytona USA Virtua Fighter also came with it. So you actually got 3 games, if I remember, but the other one was a demo. I think all of them were demos. And the Sega Saturn did well because of that. I mean, really, you wouldn't see the downfall of the Sega Saturn until the CEO of Sega Saturn America pretty much just went like, yeah, the Saturn isn't our future, we're gonna be moving on from it. And this was like literally a year, 2 years into it being like around, and it was still around for another, I think, 3 more years. I think it was around for 5. So they pretty much killed the Dreamcast before it could even take off. And the Dreamcast is by far my favorite system. I love it, and I know that I'm in a minority in that. It's funny because I'll actually meet people that will say they didn't even know it existed. Like, they don't even know when it even came out. I'm like, dude, it was when like the PlayStation came out. It was when the N64 came out. Like what a lot of retro gamers would consider, looking back, as the time when most of them developed. I'm not talking about retro gaming in the sense of you know, Atari or NES, or even going as far as back as that, or even the Genesis. A lot of the late 20s, early 30-year-olds, like, their systems, technically most of them were kind of fall into that N64, PlayStation, and, well, Sega Saturn. And if you don't agree with me, you can go ahead and comment that down. It's cool, like, I totally understand. But for me, those were like my huge years of playing games, because that's when my brothers actually allowed me to play and allowed me to enjoy the game. So yeah, that was one of the things that kind of a lot of people kind of forget about the Sega Saturn. Is like the timeline where it kind of fell into in the late 90s, early 2000s. Mid 90s, 95, 96. 2000 is when the Dreamcast would finally be released, and then all of those problems, and which led to the downfall of Sega. So playing this game actually tells you the reason why it didn't do well. And we'll continue to play, but like I said, I wanted to turn this into a talk about Sega and what went wrong, and it's actually something that you see here, the timer. In all traditional Sega games, there's the timer, and that would actually lead to its issues, because that is a predominantly arcade attribute, is the timer. And the score system. You know, you don't really see that anymore. I mean, yeah, you saw it like in early NES, but Nintendo dropped it. I mean, Nintendo dropped the score system and really didn't focus on time, and it became more about not this ticking clock kind of counting down. It really dealt with the idea of what exactly is the game about, the story, how much it immersed you into it. So Sega kind of stayed stuck with their own beliefs and what they viewed as what a game was, their arcade roots. So a lot of people attribute that to the downfall of the Sega company as a whole, or more so like when they decided to change, it was already too late. People had already moved on and joined Sony with the PlayStation, and Nintendo diehard people, you know, won't leave Nintendo. So here we go. Let's get back. So that little time that you see as a person, actually, if the timer goes off, you actually turn back into your human form, and so that's so don't think like, oh well, you know, why put that much effort into character creation or even like controls if you're not even gonna come out. And they do. That's like the issue that occurs when there we go. But yeah, go ahead and comment below if you want to talk about some Sega games that you enjoyed. Did you play the Saturn? Were you a Saturn person? Go ahead and comment below, or message if had you even heard of the Saturn. Is this the first time that you even heard of it? Right. Well, at least my scores are getting better. Oh, nice. Crazy. I don't even know how to react to that. That was too much. So because, I mean, technically this is a 3D game, you're gonna see me like, I kind of get lost because I'll see things in the foreground or in the background, and I want to go there. I don't know if that's happening with you guys. So all of this is really crazy for me. Ouch. Uncalled for. So this is where this part specifically is where I feel the 3D-ness. Oh man. Oh my gosh. Oh, this is hard to control. Am I even controlling it? I don't even know. So this is what I was talking about. Oh, that was bad. I'm gonna get like an... Oh, I thought I got an F on that one. That was really bad. Oh, the nightmare. Woo! There was a lot of skill involved in that one. Oh my gosh. So again, the score system. And you can, it's funny, you can actually see the names of the Sonic characters. Knight, Sonic, Knuckles, Miles, Amy. I hadn't even realized that on the other ones. I guess this is their subtle way of telling me to play as Claris. So yeah, I wanted to talk about the last couple of things about the Sonic team before I kind of call it here. And just a couple of things that I wanted to kind of touch upon. Just resetting some stuff here. Okay, as you may have noticed, my chat wasn't updating, so I completely missed all of the things that you were saying, the classic Juan. So I do apologize for that. This was not only for the Saturn, technically. It was released, I believe, on the Xbox Live and the Nintendo gaming. I always forget like how you purchase games, whatever game network. Now part 2 was released for the Wii. Not as well received, but mostly because of the controls. I haven't played it, so I can't say much about it. So I'm not gonna dog on it or anything. But I do have to say the controls for this game are difficult, anyways. Just because it runs 2-dimensionally, and then it like hits 3-dimensionally all of a sudden. It's kind of like the way Sonic kind of does it, where it's like you got your 2D, but then all of a sudden you'll go through that where you're kind of moving like this, and you're moving down a slope, and you're just kind of moving left to right, dodging things. It's kind of similar in that respect. So that's one of the things that I always noticed dealing with Nights into the Dreams, or Into Dreams. Sorry, I apologize. So yeah, now it's funny because a couple of things I wanted to talk about. So Naoto Oshima, the designer of the game, the director of the game, and also the designer of Sonic and Eggman in the original Sonic series, they actually did an interview with him, kind of talking about like how he felt, because most of that original Sonic team left Sega, like just left. So it's kind of sad, because he was such an important person. The worst one was when Yuji Naka left, which was basically the brainchild of the Sonic series and of most of the other series. He also did Phantasy Star Online, Phantasy Star, the original series on the Genesis, and a lot of the things that we consider Sega, Sega focused. And so once a lot of them left, it was just kind of like abandoned ship. That's when Takao Miyoshi, sorry, I always have to look back at my notes here, where he's gonna kind of take over the Phantasy Star Online, but no one was there to take care of Knights. So one of the other game designers kind of stepped in. He did help with the designs and helped out in that game, but obviously the way that Naoto describes it, as it was Americanized. See, when Knights was first developed, it was developed for the European and Asian market. It wasn't developed for American audience. Sonic was developed for American audience. And what does that mean? Like, when they say it's developed for American audience, what does that entail? And it's a couple of things. First off, the character needs to be marketable. There needs to be something about the character that can be sold and can be merchandised. Now, that's not saying that European or Asian markets don't want that. Of course, though, if you go to Japan, there's huge markets for purchasing of memorabilia. But the character of Sonic is more kid-friendly. Even though this game is about children's dreams, it didn't focus on that. It was about gameplay. And it was about gameplay that was marginally more difficult, because the game is difficult. So Sonic isn't. You can give pretty much any child Sonic, give them the control, and they'll figure it out. I played Sonic, and I played Sonic in the Sega Master System, and I played it with no problem. I was able to beat levels. When I played this back in '96, I couldn't beat levels. I mean, I died several times. So that's one of the things that what it means by gearing towards the European and Asian or Japanese markets. So to continue off of that, how is it that Sonic, they even made a joke like, oh, is that why he's red, white, and blue, Sonic? And Naoto kind of laughs and he's like, well, no, Sonic's blue because that's kind of the general color of Sega. That's their color, blue. So they put the blue in. But the funny thing is that when talking about his shoes, there's two reasons. One, they wanted it to be the red from from Bad, from Michael Jackson Bad. So they purposely tried to get that color scheme, that look on his shoes. And also, when he's running, the red looks really cool in contrast to the blue. And they also felt that he kind of had a Santa look, which would help with the American audience, especially during Christmas time when it comes to selling. And they kind of stayed with that too, even when you're talking about Sonic and Knuckles. Tails kind of like that golden look. So originally when NiGHTS was released, they wanted to release NiGHTS so that it would correspond, because the follow-up game, which is not really a follow-up but just kind of like a reskin of the NiGHTS game with some differences, with some add-ons, is Christmas NiGHTS. And it had a whole Christmas theme to it and had some extra levels to it. And they wanted to do summer NiGHTS, winter NiGHTS, spring NiGHTS, fall NiGHTS, like kind of like going through all of those. And it would have been a whole series of games that would be inspired by dreams, and they would stick you in all these different dreams. And if you notice that when you would go into water, like you would get a flipper, or if you got into an ice, a sled would kind of appear below you, you know. And even in the Wii game, they even said like you even turn into a dragon, like, you know, you're changing. And they even Naoto, when creating the game, actually spoke to psychiatrists asking about dreams and how it kind of, how dreams worked and what things happen. And so he wanted to implement all of these things within it. So this game is so deep, and why it should be considered a gem within the Sega history. And it is. It's just not here. It's not a gem here. It's not a well-known thing here in America. And so I hope that with BeerDead and us gamers, that we can try to bring that history to some of you that don't know it, or bring some of this appreciation to you guys, and use these names of these developers. Most of these developers, when developing Sonic, had to use pseudonames because they didn't want them to grow popularity, so they would use fake names. If you read the book Ready Player One, which is a great book, it actually talks about the things that developers did to try to sneak their names in, and they did. In Sonic, there's actually a code that you can do that will, it's a long code, and I wish I could remember it. Maybe we'll do a Sonic game, maybe Classic One will do it, and you can do the code. It would change the loading screen, and it'll come back, and it will give appreciation to all the developers, and it's a little Easter egg to those developers. So that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to play a little bit of this, and hopefully, you know, all willing that I can be able to do more of these, showcasing these amazing developers that develop the games of our childhood. I am MemoRandom, signing off of the BeerDead Gamerz. Please be sure to check out our Facebook, Instagram, and our Twitter. That is for all of our social media platforms. At MemoRandom BD will get you to the to my stuff, so there you can actually see it. And, you know, enjoy games, guys. Enjoy them. And if you have any suggestions for the channel, be sure you can still leave comments for a little bit. Make sure you add them there. Jump over to our Facebook, send it to us there. Jump over to Twitter, send it to us there. You can't really do that on Instagram, but you could send us a picture. I don't know. But please send us messages. Tell us what games you want us to watch or want us to play. Is there a game of your childhood that you enjoyed and that you want us to play? Maybe we don't know it, and it would be kind of cool for us to try it out. I'm not going to be divulging the game I'll be playing next. However, I will be doing a 3-minute video or 4-minute video. Be sure to check out my review on, or analysis really. It's more of an analysis than a review of the Dark Tower. And be sure to check out all of our other videos with the Classic One and Jack of All Games. All right, now that's it. Thank you so much for watching, and you guys have a good one. See ya.